Alright guys, we are outside Casa Loma for Legends of Horror. We're gonna go check it out right now. Make sure you stay till the end. I'll give you guys my final thoughts, my reviews. There's lots of screaming going on in there right now. So anyway, stay tuned to the very end. I'll give you guys my final thoughts and review. We'll see you in there. Okay, so they actually have porta potties right in the front here. Those did not used to be there. I literally just peed behind a tree somewhere, so now you know, they're right there as soon as you walk in. So, good to know. Halloween and Christmas all in one. Okay, so apparently today is leg day because we just climbed all the stairs at Casa Loma. We are about to enter the bar club area, so stay tuned. part about the tunnels in Casa Loma is the odor. It smells like. All right, so this lighting is nobody's friend, but yeah, all in all, good time, right?
I had fun.
We had fun. All right, guys, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit late to get this video to you guys, and I do apologize for that. I always try to get my videos out to you in a timely manner, and this is just one of those times where just my schedule just got the best of me. Anyway, spooky season, unfortunately, is coming to a close. So that means this is probably going to be one of my last, if not my last, for the 2022 spooky season. So last weekend, things got a little bit screwed up. So, you know, Friday night, for example, we were supposed to go to Casa Loma for their Legends of Horror event, which we did end up going to. One person didn't end up making it, so we had one extra ticket still, unfortunately. Saturday, we're supposed to be going to Fear Farm, and yeah, just with a few things that kind of just conflicted, it didn't end up happening. So as I said, this is probably gonna be one of my last videos. We are hoping to maybe do something this coming weekend for the last weekend of spooky season, but by the time I get a video to you guys, are you gonna really care anymore? It'll probably be more so like prepping for next year's spooky season, you know what I mean? So we'll see how the weekend goes. I do have something booked for Friday. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make a video about it or not though, because I'm not sure if it's video worthy. We'll see anyway. So going back to Casa Loma and their Legends of Horror event. So it looks like they did actually change things up a little bit. They have a zombie apocalypse event, which is sort of separate from their Legends of Horror. I kind of wish that they just did them both together, you know? So you buy a ticket to both and you kind of get to go experience both, because it seemed like you had to do either one or the other, which, I mean, I don't know. I don't know too much about the zombie apocalypse. I think that's their first year of doing this event. So I just stuck with what I sort of knew, which was the Legends of Horror. It's actually my second time attending this event too. I attended for the first time last year. Just like a little bit of trivia as well. This is actually the time of the year last year that sort of got my wheels turning to actually start this channel, because I am always doing different events and things, and then people always used to say to me, you know, you should really tell people how to, you know, what's going on in the city, and because you always seem to know what's going on, and you know, especially during COVID, people are like, how are you finding ways to occupy your time and things to do? You should really, you know, write a blog or things like that. So that's sort of where this channel kind of came from. And then I didn't end up starting until the end of last year. I know that if you look on my channel, it says like 10 years old. It's a long story. I used a old login of mine. I didn't know that was going to show up like that. So anyway, that's how we got here. It is a new channel, just not even a year old yet. So as I mentioned, this is my second time attending Legends of Horror. It's one of those events I tried to go to for a number of years and just never seemed to get around to it. We actually were finally going to go in 2020, I think it was, but then it got canceled because of COVID. We did end up going last year for the first time, and yeah, I was pretty impressed. I had a few little complaints here and there, you know, like, you know, because of COVID, the way they were letting people in, it took longer to get in, the lines were really long, but then people ended up getting grouped together, so you could always see what was going on ahead of you. This year actually seemed to be a lot better in that regard. So there was a little bit of a lineup. So it was, but we got in pretty quick. I mean, we were in line for maybe like a couple minutes, and we more or less just like kind of walked right in. My one complaint though, when you first walk in, see, I made a mistake. I thought there was porta potties at the front, which I thought, you know, were communal use, which apparently they're not. So if you arrive there, and for me, you know, I live in Etobicoke, to get to Casa Loma, it took me maybe about 40 minutes or so by Uber. Especially after you've had like a couple drinks, you gotta pee, man. You gotta pee. And you get there and there's nowhere to go. You basically go in and right away you're in the, you know, exhibit sort of thing, right? So there's nowhere to go. So like, what are you supposed to do? Especially when people are coming out like jumping and scaring you, the last thing you wanna do is like wee all over yourself, right? So that would be my first kind of complaint, is have a couple porta potties set up there just for the emergency people who just arrived there, need to have a wee, and then continue on with the, you know, the scares and everything. I think people would just be a lot more comfortable. I don't know. That's just one of my little complaints, I guess, if I had to mention one. As I said, otherwise though, we walked right in. I love Casa Loma. They set it up so beautifully. I don't know if you guys saw my video last year on the holiday season for their sort of Nutcracker Christmas or whatever they had ended up doing that time. They just set it up so nicely. It just looks amazing. There weren't a whole lot of monsters, I guess you could say, jumping out and scaring you. I did find that a lot of the focus was on the lights and, you know, animatronic things, and just, I guess, more of the decor and the displays. There weren't a whole lot of jump scares, let's put it that way. But it just visually, it just looked really nice. And don't get me wrong, there were still a few monsters, you know, kicking around that would sort of jump out, or you'd think it was like a display, and all of a sudden it comes to life and it's actually a person. So there were a few of those, so it was pretty good still though. So this is an indoor and outdoor event. So you do start outside, you're walking around outside the grounds. You'll go inside another area where they got a few things set up. If you saw my Christmas video at Casa Loma, it's very similar setup. I know I did a bit of a walkthrough there as well. Very similar, that you're sort of walking outside, then you're inside, then you're outside, then you're inside. Very, very similar. Halfway through, they have a nightclub sort of setup, which actually was probably one of my favorite parts. The drinks are a little on the pricier side, but again, you kind of tend to expect that from these kind of events now. I think I bought 2 tequila sodas, and I think they were something like, after tip, probably like around $40, something like that. It's pricey. I mean, it's pricey at the end of the day just for a drink. But again, you do tend to expect that. They were serving food as well. So they had, you know, for me, I don't eat meat. So they had veggie burgers, they had regular burgers, mac and cheese bites, which are delicious. I definitely recommend the mac and cheese bites. Drink wise, they do have some themed drinks as well, or you can just go basic and just get, you know, bar rail and, you know, soda or whatever the case is. They have a DJ in there who's like blasting music, and surprisingly enough, people are actually singing and dancing along and having a really good time. It almost felt like a little mini nightclub, and I mean, I haven't really been to a nightclub in a while, so it was kind of a fun little nostalgic moment for me. After the nightclub, you sort of walk around outside in the grounds a little bit more. You walk into Casa Loma, and then you go through the tunnels. The tunnels are probably one of the best parts as well, because it is kind of creepy down. It's kind of eerie, it's dark, there's a lot of like fog and stuff going on, so it's, yeah, the tunnels are definitely one of my favorites, I would say. After the tunnels, you end up in the stables, and you're sort of walking around that area, then you go outside, and then you're pretty much done. One thing I'm not actually sure how they handle is people who have special you know, needs and requirements. There's a lot of stairs. It's a lot of walking outside, a lot of, you know, cobbledy type walking, and there's a lot of stairs. So I actually don't know how they handle that type of a situation, if there's maybe a different route that people with those needs can take. But just be forewarned, even shoe wise, for people who, you know, don't have any special requirements or needs, footwear wise, you're going to be outside, you're going to be walking up, you know, stairs, things like that. So just, yeah, be aware of that. So now let's get into the price. So we ended up paying, it's hard to say because it was service fees. No, it is service fees. It ended up being around between $50 and $55 a ticket.
And I forgot to mention, there is a VIP experience option as well. The cost for this is $200 plus another $825 in fees. Now this does include 2 admissions, as well as line bypass, and 1 food and 1 beverage voucher for each person, as well as a gift bag.
It's not bad. It's not a terrible price, because the whole experience, you're going to be there for a good couple of hours, I would say. As long as you take your time as well, walk through everything and really enjoy it. If you're one of those people who just runs right through and doesn't stop in sort of smaller rows kind of thing, you're probably going to fly through it. But you could easily spend, I would say, a couple hours there, especially if you spend a bit of time in the, you know, in the nightclub bar area, have a couple drinks or have something to eat, or just, you know, sit there and vibe with the music, whatever the case is. You're easily going to spend a good couple hours there. So price-wise, I don't think it's too far off the mark of where it should be. To me, I think all these events are getting kind of pricey, but I also think when you sort of rack them up against each other, this isn't really that bad. I guess you have to consider the whole picture, the costs that go into setting up these events, you know, buying all these supplies, hiring people to jump out and this and that, and to serve drinks and to this and to that, you know, the maintenance costs of the actual location themselves, things like that. So I get it. I get why they have to charge some of these fees. I will say though, there are some deals available. If you check, for example, Groupon fairly early into the season, you will see some deals for Casa Loma. I don't remember the exact price. I think it was maybe around $35 or something like that. It ended up being on Groupon, but you have to sort of pick your dates earlier in the season. Like we went towards the end of October and they were already not offering the Groupon deal anymore. So if you will go sort of like the beginning stages of you know, spooky season, so to speak, you probably are gonna find a better deal. In general though, I will always recommend going to these events earlier on in the season, because they tend to be less busy, they tend to be a little bit cheaper, there's maybe some more deals there. So yeah, that would be sort of a general recommendation for some of these Halloween events and these spooky events. Try to go earlier in the season, because you think most people want to go closer to Halloween. There's a lot of people who only go to like 1 or 2 of these, if any at all. Like I tend to go to multiple ones, which is why they kind of get spread across spooky season sort of thing. But a lot of people will go closer to Halloween. So yeah, I definitely would recommend go earlier in the season. You'll find your deals and find less people there too. So sort of less lineups, less scares getting kind of ruined because you can see 10 people ahead of you getting, you know, somebody jumping out at them, and it kind of ruins the surprise for you. So yeah, that's my number one recommendations for generally for all these Halloween type events. As I mentioned, food and drinks, a little on the pricier side, but again, when you go to any type of event like this, that's just sort of the norm now. So, you know, take it or leave it. Location, as I mentioned, I love Casa Loma. I love seeing it being utilized for things because, you know, there's so much history there. It's so interesting. And definitely check out my Christmas video. It's nice to see that they're doing different events there. It's nice to see they're taking advantage of this beautiful space that we have in the city. It just, if you've never visited Casa Loma, even just in general, not even just for, you know, spooky season or for the holiday season or anything like that, definitely go to Casa Loma at least once. Just take a tour, especially seeing the tunnels, just all of it. It's just such a cool place to go. Is the spot right for you? I would say if you're into this whole spooky type environment, these sort of haunted houses and things like that, I would say this is definitely for you. I would say it's definitely for a bit of an older crowd in the sense of like 16 and up. Actually, even the age requirement is if you are under 16, you actually do need to be accompanied by an adult. So I would definitely say it's probably better for 16 and up, just because some of the younger crowd might get a little too spooked and too scared for some of the things that were there. I don't know. To me, I don't really get freaked out by these things, but again, I grew up watching Friday the 13th as a child, so sorry, Mom. So these things don't tend to really scare me so much. It's more so just for the fun environment, just because I love Halloween so much and I love this time of the year so much. That's why I personally go to these events. So I don't find them really that scary, but I just love to go to them. So if you're into that type of a vibe, that fun Halloween, you know, you'd go with a few friends, maybe have a couple drinks and just enjoy yourself. It's just a fun time. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider smashing that like button. Please consider subscribing as well. It's totally free for you and it really, really does help me out. If you want to see when I release new videos and any new content I release, you can also hit that notification button as well. Once again, thank you for visiting Casa Loma with me. Thank you for coming along with all these sort of Halloween spooky season type videos if you have been along for the journey. If you haven't, make sure you check those ones out as well, because I think I got like 3 or 4 other ones that you can see sort of what else is going on in Toronto. You know, we got the Pumpkinville, we got Martino Manor, we got Halloween Haunt at Wonderland. So make sure you check those videos out as well. Once again, this has been Daniel with Spotlight and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.